Okay, good morning all. Gately Stevenson-Mathews here. It is a special Facebook Live edition of On the North Shore, and it is December the 14th. It is 2025. I am at the entrance of Morgan Memorial Park, as you see, and I thought I would walk down into the park and give friends and family and people near and far an opportunity to see our first snow, or first major snow. There were flurries, but our first major snow of the season here in the great city of Glen Cove. Thought you all might enjoy this. So let's take a stroll down to the park. I always think of my good buddy Michelle Kootner, who is still such a part of Glen Cove and always seems to enjoy these videos. And there are other people who seem to enjoy seeing what's happening in Glen Cove, especially when we have things like this. Here is the landing monument, by the way. There you go. I'm going to go up here real quick. It's going to be backwards because I forgot to switch it. There you are. And of course, our wonderful monument to our veterans, thanks to Ben Farnan and his hard work and the community coming together. That's always important to highlight. Ben did so much work, but that work came to fruition because people joined with Ben, and there were many other people. So anyway, there's that monument. Isn't that gorgeous? I know as a city, sometimes we have our tricky bits, but what an incredible place to live. I mean, I love where I grew up, but in my adult life, to be a half a block from Morgan Park. And those of you who are not from Glen Cove, Morgan Park was built by J.P. Morgan, and it was donated to the people of Glen Cove and Locust Valley in tribute and in memory of his wife. Oh my gosh, you guys are going to love this. Wait till I do this pan around. And Gordy, so I'm a half a block away. So Gordy, I'm down here in part. I left Jim shoveling the snow, but I'm down here in part because I thought I'd better get down here before Gordon gets down here. He'll beat me to it. There you go. Isn't that beautiful? Let me just keep moving around here. And then I'm going to go back around, and then I will switch the perspective because I'd rather have you guys look at Morgan Park instead of look at me. Here you are. Again, it's December 14th. It's in the morning. I'm swinging around. And there you are, the full panorama, as it were. Okay, here you go. And and by the way, I'm wearing my official Dallas Opera Prince Igor shirt in honor of the snow, and in colder climates. That's a shout out to my Dallas friends. Prince Igor, that was a long time ago. I sang in the chorus of that show. Anyway, here we go. Let's take it around one more time, and then I'm going to switch the perspective because I think you'll enjoy it even more. There you go. All right, so now let me switch this, if it will let me while I'm taping. There you go. Okay, so let's stroll on down this way. Can somebody put in the comments below just so I know that this is actually recording and that you are able to see what I'm seeing? And of course, the snow is still coming down, so it's a little slick, so I may move slowly. And this is probably going to be a longer video than some, just because it's just too beautiful not to try to capture all of it. So scroll through the bits you're not interested in. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Oh gosh, look at this. There's going up the hill. All right, there you go. And I'm walking down, of course, towards Hempstead Harbor. And again, for those people here in Glen Cove are aware of what Hempstead Harbor is. But for those of you who are perhaps not from Glen Cove, and this is looking up the hill. So there is a meadow. If you go up those steps, there's kind of a meadow near the top of the hill. Oftentimes, in the summer, people will cook out and grill and play sports and such up there. Anyway, it's just a great location. This is our gazebo. Again, those of you in Glen Cove know Morgan Park Summer Music Festival. They have wonderful concerts here in the summer. And it began in that gazebo, or at least I think the early concerts were in the gazebo. If you're on Morgan Park Summer Music Festival committee with me, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's where it was originally. And then when Marguerite Swazi was the chair, she was for many years, and they raised money to put in the main stage. So if somebody's on the committee and I've got the history wrong, please, I don't mind if you correct me. Anyway, there's looking back up the hill. What a great place we live. You know, that's just, I mean, again, I love growing up farming tobacco in my little town in Red Springs. I miss it like a comfortable shoe, I like to say. It's wonderful to go home. And still many friends there and family, lots of family, distant relatives. But as an adult, I'm also feel so very fortunate and blessed to live here in Glen Cove. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. So I'm going to come back and take a picture or two, because is that a Christmas card or is that a Christmas card? That's the question. What do you all think? You think that's a good Christmas card? There are probably better ones. And here we go. And we now have these fancy schmancy signs telling us where things are. And we're headed down to the beach. Here we go. It looks like, is there? I think there's maybe things. I'm going to wipe this down. I believe there may be snowflakes on my camera. So give me just a second. See if I can wipe that off. Is that better? Did I make it better or worse? That is better. Okay, there we go. Okay, let me head down this way. And again, we're headed down to the concession stand. And hooked and battered, again, in the summertime. Great concession stand, hamburgers, hot dogs. He oftentimes runs specials. Of course, John DeJesus does that. And there's even one of those little miniature libraries. So I'm going to walk down. Oh, look at that. Again, just how beautiful is it? Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. I often, especially friends who don't know Glen Cove and don't know how magical Morgan Park is, I often call this my cathedral. You know, I feel very fortunate. I've traveled a little bit and have seen some magnificent cathedrals here in Europe and such. But sometimes nature is the thing that builds the most beautiful cathedrals. And it really is one we have here. As those of you who know, who attend the community Easter Dawn service, here is where we have the service. Hopefully it won't be so nippy. Some years it's pretty cold, but the last year wasn't so bad. And in fact, this is the 10th year that the bilingual community Easter Dawn service will happen here in the park. So mark your calendars. Oh, look at this. Can you see the Canadian geese again? I mean, I know they're a mess in our lawns and all that stuff, but really, look at this. Just pause. I'm going to be quiet a minute. I don't know if I scared them and that's why they're swimming out or they're just headed out. But look at this. I hope this reads, because it's kind of misty. But there are the geese. There's kind of like a little tiny inlet here. This is where the water Comes out. There's the pier. There's the Glen Cove Yacht Club. And there are the restrooms. And let me just keep on this journey because it is really kind of cold down here. And it's easier to hold this phone without having gloves. So that is the case. So I'm going to head home in just a minute. But let me just walk down here. And again, for those of you who don't know the history, Morgan Park was built by J.P. Morgan. Of course, the financier. There's a great display, by the way, as you walk into the North Shore Historical Museum. And if you've never been there, talk about jewels in our community, you must get there, look them up on the internet, North Shore Historical Museum. And as you walk in to your right, there's a great display on J.P. Morgan and the influence of the Morgan family here on the North Shore. So make sure you get to that. There's currently a great display on the influence of Quakers. So so many great things here. Okay, here we go. And here is the path. And let me just take this along. And there is the Hempstead Harbor. The way I'm facing, if this were a clear day, for those of you who are not from Glen Cove, I would be looking at New Rochelle in that direction. But of course, it's overcast with the snow. But oh my goodness, look at this. So beautiful. So beautiful. There we are. I'm going to spin you around. And there are so many stories about back in the day, the old timers will say, the beach was used much more. And as I understand, they had diving boards and heard lots of stories from Pete Rappley would tell me stories. Pete's no longer with us, but oh my gosh, what a great guy. So here we go. I'm just taking it around. And isn't that just beautiful? Okay, I am going to end it there. I wonder if I can switch this back around. Let's see if it works. Okay, there we go all. So I hope you were all able to see this. And I just wanted to share this from my hometown. And I grew up down in the Carolinas, and I love it. But this is my hometown now, and also feel so very fortunate to live here. There you go. Everybody, please be safe. Quick reminder, make sure you shovel your fire hydrants. God forbid there is a fire, but that's everybody's job. And everybody have a great day. Thank you so much. Enjoy.